Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Eleanor Vance, and I want to thank you for inviting me into your space today. If we haven't met before, I've spent much of my career at Stanford exploring the intricate dance between our biology and our rest. But today, I'm not speaking to you from a lecture hall or a laboratory. I'm speaking to you as a friend, and perhaps as someone who, like many of you, has spent a few too many nights staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep feels like a guest that refuses to arrive. I want to talk to you about these little devices we wear on our wrists or our fingers. They promised us clarity, didn't they? They promised to tell us why we're tired and how to fix it. But often, they just give us a new set of numbers to worry about. We are going to peel back the curtain on that data today. We are going to look at what is happening inside your heart and your brain during those quiet hours. I want to encourage you to listen all the way to the end of our time together. The most transformative steps in this protocol, the ones that truly bridge the gap between tracking sleep and improving it, are coming in the latter part of our talk. You won't want to miss those specific daily practices that can recalibrate your system. Before we dive into the science, I'd love for you to take a moment and comment below. Tell me, what does your wearable tell you that confuses you the most? Is it the deep sleep score? Is it the restlessness metric? I read your comments, and they help me understand how I can best support you. When I look back at the history of sleep science, it's remarkable how far we've come. For centuries, sleep was viewed as a passive state, a temporary death of sorts where nothing happened. It wasn't until the mid-20th century, with the discovery of REM sleep right here at Stanford by William Dement and his colleagues, that we realized the brain is often more active during sleep than it is when we're awake. For my senior patients, this journey is often a bit more complex. As we age, our sleep architecture naturally shifts. It's a biological reality, but it doesn't have to be a source of suffering. I remember a patient of mine, let's call him Arthur. Arthur was 72, a retired engineer, and he came into my office looking absolutely defeated. He handed me his phone, showing me his sleep app. It was covered in red bars. He told me, "Eleanor, I feel like I'm failing at sleeping. My watch says I only get 30 minutes of deep sleep. Am I falling apart?" Arthur's story is so common. He was experiencing what we now call orthosomnia, the anxiety caused by the pursuit of perfect sleep data. What Arthur didn't realize, and what I want to share with you, is that the sensors on your wrist are making an educated guess. They are using an accelerometer to track movement and a light sensor to track your pulse. They aren't reading your mind. The first thing we have to understand is the two-process model of sleep regulation. This is the foundation of everything. Process S is your sleep drive. Think of it like a physical weight that gets heavier every hour you stay awake. This weight is a chemical called adenosine. It builds up in your brain, and the only way to clear it out is through sleep. Process C is your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. It's governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This clock is heavily influenced by light. I've seen so many people try to fight these two processes. They drink coffee late in the day, which blocks the adenosine receptors. The brain thinks the weight is gone, but it's still there, waiting. Or they keep bright lights on late into the night, telling their internal clock that the sun is still up. This disconnect is where the trouble begins. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Do you find yourself reaching for a late afternoon caffeine boost, or perhaps keeping the television on until the moment you close your eyes? Sharing these habits helps us all realize we aren't alone in these struggles. Let's talk about the metrics themselves. You see heart rate variability, or HRV, on your screen. In clinical terms, we often look at the root mean square of successive differences, or RMSSD. It sounds intimidating, but it's simply the measurement of the tiny variations in time between your heartbeats. If your heart beats like a perfect, rigid metronome, it's actually a sign that your nervous system is under stress. A healthy, recovered heart is flexible. It's responsive. One study conducted with older adults showed that those who engaged in consistent low-impact evening movement, like Tai Chi, saw a significant improvement in their RMSSD scores over 12 weeks. They weren't just sleeping more, they were recovering better. Their bodies were moving out of the fight-or-flight sympathetic state and into the rest and digest parasympathetic state. There are so many myths out there that I want to clear up for you. One of the biggest is the idea that we need less sleep as we age. That is simply not true. Our ability to stay asleep might decrease due to changes in our circadian signaling or health conditions, but our need for those 7 to 8 hours remains constant. Another myth is that if you wake up in the middle of the night, you've ruined your sleep. Historically, humans actually practiced something called segmented sleep. Before the Industrial Revolution and the advent of the light bulb, it was very common for people to sleep for 4 hours, wake up for an hour or two of quiet reflection or light chores, and then sleep for another 4 hours. If you wake up at 3 a.m., don't panic. Your body might just be tapping into an ancient rhythm. The key is to stay relaxed. Don't check the clock. Don't turn on the big lights. I remember another patient, Margaret. She was 81 and a voracious reader. She would get so frustrated when her watch told her she was awake for 2 hours a night. When we looked closer, she realized she was just lying there peacefully, enjoying her thoughts. I told her, "Margaret, if you feel rested during the day, your watch is just misinterpreting your piece for a problem." We have to learn to trust our felt experience as much as, if not more than, the digital data. Now, as we move into the most important part of our discussion, I want to give you the specific protocol. If you are tired of playing this digital guessing game and want a clear path to actually improving those numbers, we have a solution. Many people monitor their data but have no idea how to change the outcome. That is why we created the Sleep Optimization Protocol ebook. It is a comprehensive guide designed to address the specific problem of high data anxiety and low-quality rest. This protocol identifies the environmental hidden killers of deep sleep and provides a step-by-step evening routine to lower your resting heart rate and stabilize your circadian rhythm. It is researched and focused on actionable science rather than just empty metrics. Click the link in the description to download your free copy. We are confident this will shift your readiness score from red to green, and it's free, so there is no risk to give it a try. Now let's get back to why that late-night snack is secretly sabotaging your heart rate variability. I'd love for you to comment below and let me know. Could you commit to a 5-minute morning walk or even just sitting on your porch with your morning tea? Let's address some of the questions I hear most often in my clinic. Question: does taking melatonin supplements help as I get older? Melatonin can be helpful as a chronobiotic, meaning it helps shift the timing of your sleep, which is useful for jet lag. However, as a general sleep aid, its effects are often modest. Our bodies naturally produce less melatonin as we age, so a very low dose, think 0.5 to 1 milligram, taken a few hours before bed, can sometimes help signal the start of the night. But it's not a sedative. It's a vampire hormone. It only comes out in the dark. If you take melatonin and then sit under bright lights, you're sending your brain contradictory messages. Question: what should I do if I can't fall back asleep after waking up? This is a very common experience. If you've been awake for more than 20 minutes and you're starting to feel frustrated, I recommend the stimulus control technique. Get out of bed. Go to a different room with very dim light. Do something quiet and repetitive. Knit, listen to a soft podcast, or flip through a magazine. Do not do anything productive like cleaning or checking email. You want to break the association between your bed and the feeling of being frustrated and awake. Only return to bed when you feel that wave of sleepiness returning. Question: are weighted blankets actually effective for seniors? For many, yes. The gentle, firm pressure, often called deep pressure stimulation, can help reduce cortisol levels and increase the release of serotonin. It's like a long, steady hug for your nervous system. However, if you have any respiratory issues or circulation problems, please check with your primary doctor before trying one. Question: why does my heart rate stay high for hours after I eat? Digestion is a metabolically expensive process. If you eat a heavy meal close to bedtime, your heart has to work harder to pump blood to your digestive system. This keeps your core temperature high and your HRV low. I suggest trying to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before your head hits the pillow. I want to leave you with one final thought. Sleep is not a performance. It's not something you can win at. It is an act of self-compassion. When you look at your wearable data tomorrow morning, look at it with curiosity, not judgment. If the numbers aren't what you hoped for, simply say to yourself, "My body is doing its best to take care of me, and tonight I will give it a few more tools to help." I've seen patients transform their lives not by changing everything at once, but by choosing one small thing, like that morning walk or the warm bath, and sticking with it. You have the power to influence your biology. You have the power to find rest. If this conversation has been helpful to you, I would be so honored if you would subscribe to Vita Prime Health. We are building a community here based on evidence, warmth, and mutual support. Please share this with your family, your friends, or anyone you know who might be struggling to find their way back to a good night's sleep. We are in this together. Stay curious, stay well, and I'll see you in our next episode.